knowledgeable crowd here in Tracktown, USA, Eugene, Oregon. I was walking around the outside of the stadium yesterday, and the knowledge that was coming out of the ticket queue was great. Little nuggets. Alex Haydock-Wilson will go in lane 7 for Great Britain and Northern Ireland. Lane 6 will be Wade van Niekerk. Celebrated his 30th birthday a couple of days ago, and it's great to see him back under 45 seconds. This race here today will tell us a little bit more about the form of the 2016 Olympic champion Stephen Solomon of Australia will go in 5. 8th all the way back in 2012. He did run a personal best last year. Good longevity in his career so far. Lane 4 will be Patrick Sorm from the Czech Republic, 3-time World Indoor Championship finalist. Lane 3, Jonathan Jones from Barbados, national record holder over 400, 800 and 1500. So watch out for him in the closing stages. Might finish strongly. Julian Walsh of Jamaica will go in lane 2. Sorry, Japan. He's got a Jamaican dad and Japanese mum. Here representing Japan. So his idol is Usain Bolt. We'd love to see Usain Bolt have a proper go at 400 metres. But that would have been too much. More than enough to try and handle him with the 100 and 200. So Walsh of Japan in 2, Jones of Barbados in 3, Shorm of the Czech Republic in 4, Solomon of Australia in 5, Van Niekerk of South Africa in 6, and Haydock-Wilson of Great Britain and Northern Ireland in 7. Van Niekerk looks like he's got a fast start there, putting up alongside Alex Haydock-Wilson, running right on the line. Be careful of the officials here at the Eugene Stadium. They're very good. They've really managed these championships so well. Wade van Niekerk though looking full of running at the moment. He looks super smooth. First 3 will qualify automatically into Wednesday's semi-final. Wade van Niekerk just looks like he's easing off there a little bit. I hope that's intentional because he's going to have some company from the inside lanes. Walsh and Jones looking full of running. Alex Haydock-Wilson doing everything he can to fight into the top 3. Wade van Niekerk looks up at the big screen. He looks to his inside. Wade van Niekerk of South Africa. Great first round. 45.19. That's a fantastic time to open his campaign. Just a shade outside that season's best. And he looks so relaxed. There was so much more in the tank there for Wade van Niekerk. Wow. I wonder if the other men watched that.
I'm really pleased for him, Hannah. Really pleased for him. Pin sharp out the blocks. Lovely round the bend, putting Haydock-Wilson under a little bit of pressure. Jonathan Jones of Barbados has got great range for a 400 metre run. I've been noticing him on there's a statistician's newsletter that I subscribe to. It is pure facts and figures. It is one for the purists, but he's been popping up again and again on the 800s. I haven't seen him do too many 15s, but it's a great stat you came up with. National record holder at 4, 8 and 15, and he really showed his strength there towards the end. And that was a season's best for Haydock-Wilson, securing 3rd. I'm really impressed with Jones of Barbados. Look at the way he controlled this. He didn't panic that Wade van Niekerk was out front. But talking about the world record holder, he glances round in a second. He's running well within himself. And this is a very, very good sign for South African fans of track and field and for fans of this event, because we want Van Niekerk back to his best. I'm not saying he's going to run 43 plus change in the final, but this is as composed and as relaxed and as confident as we've seen him on the global stage for years.
Oh, that's what we've missed, isn't it? Wade van Niekerk in full flow. Looked like he ran the first 200 seriously, if you know what I mean, yeah, sort of hard, and it was around about this point he just looked like he took his foot off the gas ever so slightly, but he looks like he's doing a training run, and to run 45.19 looking that relaxed. What do you reckon that's worth? Mid 44s? I don't know, I don't want to get carried away, but with the loss of Stephen Gardner of the Bahamas pulling out injured, that was really devastating for this event. I would love to see him in the mix as well. Perhaps as a fan you can get excited that we could almost replace that spot in the pre-race favourites with Wade van Niekerk, the world record holder. Look, barely striding over the line there, reduced nearly to a jog. And a great showing from Alex Haydock-Wilson. Won the British Indoor Championships in a qualifying mark for the World Indoors, and then was disqualified for a bit of argy-bargy on the first lap. It's really sad there for Alex Haydock-Wilson, and great to see the way he's responded this season, and he's been rewarded with a place in the semi-finals. Confirmed result there. Jonathan Jones, have to say, with that 8-metre strength coming through for second place. So keep an eye out for him. And Julian Walsh, Patrick Shawn will have to wait to see if they can be one of the 6 non-automatic qualifiers that we're going to collect over these 6 heats.
Well, you're right, we've lost Gardner, but if Van Niekerk starts coming back to form and we get the best out of Michael Norman lining up there behind Alviles Ferrero of Mexico, we could be in for a cracking one-lap showdown when we get towards the end of the week on Friday. Throw into the mix the 2012 Olympic champion, Karani James, and you get Van Niekerk in the final as well. Suddenly you've got multiple Olympic champions taking on the might of the United States. But first, they all have to negotiate the heats and then the semi-finals. That's Isaac Makwala, Commonwealth champion. He's been around so long. I was so pleased for Makwala that he got a 4x4 bronze last year. He goes in heat 4. Mike Cherry goes in 3. Some fantastic runners to come. And Feliz, the Dominican Republic gold medalist in the mixed 4x4, he goes in heat 6. Karani James, the Olympic champion from 2012, he goes in 5. So it's some brilliant athletes to watch over the quarter mile coming up on the track. Then we've got the women, then we've got the men's 10,000 metre final. So it's a lovely Sunday morning session here. Do you reckon this is the last year we'll see Makwala in an international competition? I mean, he's already 36. What do you reckon?
He has been around a super long time, but even when you've got the attraction of maybe even just staying a part of the relay squad, could that be enough to keep Isaac Makwala going for another few years? Commonwealth Games would be really good to see him do that. I don't know, it's always, I think as an athlete, there's always something every half a year. You're like, okay, one more world indoors, one outdoors, you know, and oh, it's nearly the Olympic Games, I'll just go again. So who knows, we might see Isaac Makwala carry on. He's still running a really high level.
I think Kim Collins helped to rewrite the boundaries of how long sprinters can go on. The St Kitts and Nevis Commonwealth champion from 02, world champion from 03. Brilliant to see him on the podium all those years later in Daegu in the 4x1 with St Kitts and Nevis. So he carried on almost to the age of 40. Well, Van Niekerk's only 30. Plenty of years left for him, touchwood, assuming there are no more injuries. So Van Niekerk is safely through as we start to think about getting a glimpse of Mike Norman. He goes in lane 2. He is undoubtedly one of the stars of our sport. How about this for a set of PBs? 986, 1970, 43, 45. We'll get to him in just a moment. He's in 2. There's Kevin Borlée. My co-commentator might start swooning in just a moment. Anyway, let's move on. Bronze medalist way back in Daegu, Kevin Borlée, brilliant relay runner. Nine of South Africa, 4th in the African Championships. Really good form this year, sub 45, hoping to make it 2 South Africans in the semis. Kaczyjan Dusniewski, mixed gold last year. He ran like a man possessed on his leg. Benjamin Vidal, 4th in the World Indoors earlier this year, former European junior champion. Chris Taylor made the final last year for Jamaica, former World Junior silver medalist. Plenty of Jamaicans in the stadium, yes, waving their flags. It wouldn't be a World Championship without the Jamaicans in good form and good voice. The fastest man in the world this year, Michael Norman. The 5th fastest in history. One of only 3 men to go sub 10, sub 20, sub 44. 43.56, national champion. He's undefeated this year over the 400. Alviles Ferrero, the world junior champion from Mexico. What a moment for him to try and chase down Norman on his home patch here in Eugene. So first 3 advancing into the semis. Ferrero, Mexico in 2. Norman, the favourite here in 3 for USA. Taylor, Jamaica in 4. Vidal, Denmark in 5. Dusniewski of Poland in 6. Nine of South Africa in 7. And Borlée of Belgium on the outside in lane 8. Very impressive from Van Niekerk in the first heat. What's Norman got here in the second? Goes in lane 3. expectant hush around Hayward Field. Good start this from Norman. Nine is running well. He's up onto the shoulder of Kevin Borlée as they head down that back straight. Norman now just beginning to unwind. He's coming up onto the shoulder of the man who was 6th in the Tokyo final. Good running from Norman and from Chris Taylor just outside him. Jesniewski trying to close down on that fast start from Nine. Now Norman coming through as the stagger unfolds on the inside. It's the first three. Could be tight actually for the minor places. Norman looks good here. Nine running well on the outside, following up from Van Niekerk's excellent run in the first. So Norman from Nine, well actually just on the line it looks like Chris Taylor might have finished ahead of Nine, but those are the three to make it through. Excellent running by Mike Norman. So what are we, 45-37, yeah, not much to read into that other than that it's a composed performance by the American. He wasn't too worried about the South African going out hard on the outside. Came through with a steady run. Good work by the South African down the home straight. Taylor's paying close attention to those monitors just to double check. Yeah, he did come up for that second spot, so he pipped Nine on the line by 100th of a second. That graphic was a little bit misleading just temporarily there, but it was, yeah, Norman Taylor and Nine. Kevin Borlée will have to wait and see. I thought that was a really mature performance from Norman.
It was really good, similar to Wade Van Niekerk, just sort of waking up this morning and saying, what have I got to get done? I think for me, like I mentioned the schedule all the way till Wednesday to the next race, there's really no need to hold back as such. And I think Michael Norman knows what he's doing. He's been to this track so many times, perhaps putting his foot down ever so slightly there in that last 100 metres, giving himself a bit of a gap. But the men behind him really having to fight. Vidal fighting all the way to the line, as was Christopher Taylor. Fast finish from Belgium's Kevin Borlée. Walked into the stadium with his dad this morning, said he was in good shape, and that's a decent showing for Kevin Borlée. 4th place in 45.72. We'll have to sit and wait, but Michael Norman, Christopher Taylor and Benjamin Vidal, apologies, not Benjamin Vidal, thinking Nine will be through automatically to the next round.
Were you surprised last year that Norman was off the podium in Tokyo and finished 5th?
Yes and no. I think, like you said, Rob, it was a long season and he did a lot of fast times. When you look at the NCAA programme that Michael Norman would have been used to, previous years, you come out very fast in April. You've really got to come out all guns blazing in April and May. And I wonder if Mike Norman was just still sort of stuck on that calendar and that vibe. It's very hard to change your mindset. To be sat there in April saying, no, I've still got to be doing other work that's going to carry me all the way through to August and September. Mike Norman, he would have learned a lot from that, as would have his coach. It's a mental and physical measurement of effort that you've got to develop as an athlete, and Mike Norman looks like he's managed it superbly well this year.
Well, one of the favourites for the title, Michael Norman, safely through. Chris Taylor finishing nicely, just 100th of a second ahead of the fast starting Nine. Have to wait to see whether 45.72 is good enough to take him through as a non-automatic qualifier. 2 down, 4 races over the quarter mile still to come. Breeze picking up here in the stadium. I wonder whether they'll have any impact on the hammer. Right, so there's a heat map. Second from the bottom. Nine started very quickly. Now let's watch, especially for Taylor, third from the top, who finished very quickly for that second spot. Cruise control by Norman just towards the end because he'd done all of his hard work around the back straight in the second bend.
I love that measurement of effort there for Norman. He's not got the fastest top speed. That 34.9 is beaten by almost everybody apart from Borlée on the outside, but Michael Norman really managing to measure and gauge